Welcome to the Life Leadership Podcast with myself, Leila Singh, all things coaching, career, and personal branding. This podcast is for ambitious career professionals like you, wanting to create a life of choice and freedom, to be, do, and have more through overcoming limitations, to develop new perspectives and insights, and to redefine your success, be that in work, health, relationships, and so much more. Hi there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining from in the world today. Welcome to Live with Leila. My name is Leila Singh, and I am a leadership, career, and a personal brand coach. And my mission is to impact 100,000 people's career trajectory beyond what they thought possible. Why? Because I am passionate about helping you to realize what is truly possible for you in your career and in your life. And how do you do this? Through harnessing your leadership potential. I coach high achieving, ambitious, and driven mid to senior level career professionals, typically working in the technology industry for promotion, for peak performance, and a standout personal brand, all while showing up as the best version of yourself. And this is what I call life leadership. So, what is today's topic? Well, as I thought, we're still in January, still talking about goals and plans for the year and all that good stuff. So what I thought might be pertinent for some of you out there today who are watching is this: career growth. Why now is the time to step up? So the question for you is 2024 going to be your year? In other words, is it important for you this year to get promoted, to change job, maybe to step into leadership, whatever it might be for you? So 2023, maybe for you, it was a struggle in terms of getting noticed in your job, in your career. Perhaps you were overlooked for an opportunity or picked at the post at that last interview. Maybe this left you feeling frustrated, demotivated, getting stressed, even anxious about it, dreading Monday mornings, or simply not feeling good enough. Is that you right now? Or perhaps it's simply time for a change. Maybe you're wanting more challenge, to take on greater responsibilities, or simply expand your opportunities to have more recognition, more reward in terms of, stepping up in the pay scale, striving for a bigger bonus. So whatever that might be for you, and it's personal to you. It's not about what the next person is doing. It's about what you want. And here's the thing, is that right now, it's a really competitive job market. So the question then becomes, how can you stand out from the crowd? Now, most people, and this is based on conversations that I'm having every day with people, most people will adopt a passive and conventional approach to job search, whether that's an internal or an external opportunity. What I mean by that is they will wait and hope. In other words, they'll hope that they'll get noticed. So they'll keep their head down, they'll work really hard and hope that one day somebody will notice and offer them a promotion. The other thing is you'll wait around for your recruiter. So you'll go out, you'll register with a recruiter, and you'll wait. You'll wait for them to come to you with an opportunity. Or you'll wait and hope for the right role to come about. Now, I call this is more of a conventional approach, and it's a good approach. Don't get me wrong, it's still a relevant approach to take, but it's also a little bit passive. And by the way, this was me at the early start of my career when I was an accountant, and we're talking back in the 90s. Things have changed a lot since then. But even back then, so we're talking almost 30 years ago, I made the mistake of believing that in order to achieve career success and to get recognized and promoted and all that good stuff, I would keep my head down and I'd work really hard and I would deliver high quality work, meet all my deadlines and so forth. So I tick all the boxes and think, okay, well, that should be enough to get me recognized. And it was only when at a particular company I was at, the financial controller who had hired me, he was leaving, and he came over to say goodbye and to have a little chat with me. And that was when he pointed out to me, he said, you know, Leila, you're great at what you do. You've been a fantastic hire for the organization. And he said, but during your interview, you talked about your career ambitions and wanting to move up the career ladder and so forth. And he said, but I have no doubt that you have the ability to do so. He said, but my fear for you is that you're going to struggle. Why? Because you're too quiet. People don't know what you're about, the value that you bring to the table, you know, what you do here in terms of the great work and so forth. You need to make yourself known. You need to be able to stand out so that people have you top of mind when it comes to the hiring decisions, the succession planning, the promotions, the bonus pots, all of those things. And for me at the time, I was incredibly shy. Yes, I know it's hard to believe now, but I was incredibly shy. I lacked self-esteem and confidence. And so for me, it was easy to keep my head down and work hard. And even though I had received such great advice, it took me a while to be able to actually do something with that to create the change that was needed to be able to gain that recognition, to move up the ladder and so forth. And so I recognize it's something it's an easy, comfortable place to be in, and passively wait in hope that something will come to you. Now, it's a choice. We get to make a choice, but when we're armed with the choices in front of us, we're presented with them, then you get to choose if you want to do something different. And the alternative is to take back control of your career and to influence your career trajectory. So let me know if this is you, if you're the one who wants to take back control of your career right now and influence your career trajectory so that you have more of a say in what happens and the timelines that works to, rather than just sitting back and hoping and waiting and passively applying for jobs that pop up on various platforms and hoping that something will land and you'll get that job. So if this is you, let me know. Okay. And what I want to do today is to share with you three simple steps that you can start working on from today. And again, I always talk about creating baby steps. We don't want to make massive change immediately because often it becomes overwhelming. And then within a matter of days or weeks, you'll give up because it's just too much. So it's about the compound effect of taking small steps every day consistently will get you those results. So coming back to the title of today's live, which is why now is the time to step up, because when is the best time to plant a tree? Japanese proverb says 20 years ago. So when is the next best time to plant a tree? And the answer is today. So if you're wanting change in your career, if you're wanting that promotion, to step into leadership, to maybe move company, whatever it might be for you, now is a time to start taking action, even if you're not looking to actually move or change until the end of the year or next year. Still start to put those steps in place because it will make life a lot easier for you when you are ready. So that is why now is the time to step up. And here are the three simple steps that you can start implementing immediately to move yourself forward. So number one is clarity. And what do I mean by clarity? What I mean is there's a couple of things here. Excuse me. The first thing is getting clear on what it is you want and why. So what do you want to do? Often I hear people talk about job titles. Oh, I want to be this or that or the other. But actually, let's say a business analyst in company A can be a completely different role to a business analyst in company B. So actually slow down and take some time to understand what it is you actually want to be doing. What do you want your typical day or week to look like? What activities do you want to be involved in? What kind of responsibilities? And also spend some time thinking about your strengths. And what I mean by strengths is not what you're good at, because when people talk about what you're good at, for me, that's your performance. That's your levels of performance at certain tasks and skills. When I talk about strengths, I'm talking about what lights you up, what energizes you, what you love to spend time doing. You know, those activities that when you get your head down and get involved in them, time just flies by. as opposed to activities that drain your energy, that you come away thinking, oh my God, I've had the worst day ever. So be honest with yourself in terms of looking at the kind of tasks that energize you as opposed to the ones that drain you. And then think about, how do I want to spend my working day? What kind of things do I want to be getting involved in and doing? And why? Really important to understand why. So it's almost like we're building this from the bottom up, rather than starting with a higher level. There's a job title. Let me look at job specs and see if I can tick off the requirements and then I'll apply. It's actually, what do I want to be doing? Let me be proactive about this. So get really clear on that. And the second part of clarity is, what do you want to be known for? In other words, what do you want people to be saying about you? What's your reputation with others? What would you like people to know about you and talk about you in what kind of a way? So think about your traits, maybe your behaviors, your values, and get really clear. Identify just 2 or 3 things that are really stand out things for you that are important. It could be your values, it could be a certain behavioral style. You know, it could be, for example, that you always over deliver, that you go over and above for your clients. Maybe it's that you're incredibly diligent, you're tenacious, you'll keep going, addressing a problem to overcome it. You know, what are like the 3 top attributes, traits, behaviors, values that you want to be known for, that you want people to recognize you for? And so that those are part of your value proposition, the things that have you stand out from the crowd. So get really clear on that as well. And when you get clear on that, you'll start to, by having that clarity and that understanding for yourself, you'll start to live into that, to show up in that way consistently. And people will start to talk about you in that way, and they'll recognize you for those things. So that's what I mean by clarity. There's 2 parts: understanding what you want to do and what you want to be known for. So the second point is communicate. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Here's the thing: never assume that others know your value. Never assume that others know the skills, the experience, the abilities that you can draw upon and that you can bring to the table. Never ever assume. Therefore, you want to communicate. So here's the thing with this, right? Impressions get formed and perceptions get created. So ask yourself, how can I influence this? How can I influence the impression that people have of me? How can I create new perceptions of actually how good I really am? What do I need to do? And remember this, even with your own manager or management team, you know, everybody is busy. We all have a lot of responsibilities and, you know, meetings to attend and projects we're working on and people to manage and so forth. And it's a lot. It can often become overwhelming. So don't assume that your manager should know everything about you and all of the values and all of your wins and all of your, you know, the great things you're doing. So you want to be communicating that. Firstly, keep notes and track your wins, your achievements, challenges that you've overcome, solutions that you've put in place for a problem, maybe positive feedback that you've received on a piece of work that you've done from somebody outside of your usual team. And maybe you work with internal clients and they're really pleased with your work and they've commented on it or they sent you an email about it. Track and keep all of that, not only for others, but for yourself, so you can remember everything. And it's easy to have a reference point for you. Think about projects that you've worked on, or maybe ad hoc activities that you've done or gotten involved in that are outside of your day-to-day responsibilities. And then you want to communicate. So you want to track and you want to communicate it at every opportunity. So think about, how can you share those updates and keep other people aware? Now, all of this will depend on the dynamic within the organization you're in. It could be that you have regular one-to-ones with your manager, whether it's weekly, every 2 weeks. So if you track what you're doing and those wins, those achievements, the things that you've overcome, then you have things you could bring into conversation in those meetings. If you don't have formal meetings set up, then maybe it's when you go to, you know, you walk to the coffee shop to grab a coffee with your manager or with somebody who matters. Just drop things into conversation. It's not about bragging. It's about ensuring people are aware of what you're working on, or the value that you've brought to the table in recent weeks and days. So just having people have an awareness, dropping it into conversation, mentioning it. Oh, I'm really pleased with the feedback I received from the manager in such and such a team, and they said this and whatever. And here's the thing as well that you want to remember, that we often underestimate what we're doing. Sometimes we think, oh, we don't need to talk about that because it's not really a big deal. But other people might perceive it differently, as a huge thing. Maybe it's something they could never have done themselves, and they're like, wow, you did that? That's absolutely incredible. That's really amazing. You stepped up and you're able to deal with that situation. So never underestimate what you're doing. And that's why it's important to track what you're doing. Maybe do it on a weekly basis, or every 2 weeks. Put some time in your calendar, just 10 minutes to update a document that you have, whether it's in a notebook or on your laptop, of some of your wins and your achievements, things you've overcome, situations that you've handled, and so forth. And take the opportunity to communicate it, whether it is those water cooler conversations, whether it's an informal chat you're having with somebody. And it's not only your manager, but it's other people as well. When you're having conversations, people who are decision makers, if there's people you're speaking to in a team outside of your own, but you think, and it's not about necessarily wanting to work for that person, but it's them holding you in high regard, having a positive perception of you and the value that you're bringing, because it could come up in a conversation they're having with somebody who is hiring, who manages a team that you would love to work in. Or it could be when we're talking about leadership roles, stepping up to a management position or a leadership position, having you top of mind by those influential people, the decision makers, and thinking, oh, I don't know much about them, but I know they're really good at this, this, and this, and those are the kind of skills we need in this team, or to lead that part of the organization. So you need to be communicating and making sure people are aware, they have an awareness of who you are, what you're about, and the value that you bring to your business, to your organization. So remember, it's not about bragging. People can talk about it as bragging. People are going to have a view, an opinion, a perception of things. Ultimately, if you want to elevate your career, you need to make people aware of who you are and what you are bringing to the table. Some people call it bragging. Some people will just simply call it positioning, informing, making people aware. That's all it is. You get to choose how you look at that and what meaning you put onto that. The third point I want you to take away from today is connect. So connection, relationships, and you'll have heard me talk about this all the time. Expand your network. And this takes time, it takes energy, and it takes effort. And this is not just about connecting with a load of people on LinkedIn and having loads of connections. It's about who knows you and what they know about you. It's not only about who you know, right? Because when people know you and they know about you, in other words, that awareness we just talked about in the communication piece, then they will more likely remember you. They'll have you top of mind. And it's not about them being the hiring manager. It's about them speaking to other people about you. They might have a colleague or a friend who's hiring for somebody, and they think of you because they've recently had conversations about it. They know how good you are, what you do. They know your skill set, your unique talents, or how good you are at a certain type of work. So think about it, building out that network, and not doing it in a way it's just because of what you want. Networking and building relationships and nurturing them is a two-way thing. So look at how can you support other people? How can you help them? And then when you're in a position that you are looking for an opportunity, you can reach out and ask for help. People do love to help. They love to support others and raise them up with them. So build out those relationships. And how can you do this? You might be thinking, I don't know what to do. Well, number one is, first of all, not only amongst your team, but also within, particularly if you're in a large organization, is build out your network outside of your immediate team. Get to know people in other areas of the business, just because you never know. I've always said this, one conversation can change your life. You just never know where a conversation can lead. So simply talking to people who work outside of your direct team is about expanding your network. So when you're in the office, take the opportunity to do that. maybe grab a coffee with somebody or buy a coffee and take it over for someone, start a conversation with them, whatever it might be. Or it can simply be reaching out to former colleagues, people that you've worked with in the past. If you're sort of mid to senior level in your career, you will have worked with a lot of people over the years. Start checking them out. LinkedIn is a great place to do that. So start to reconnect with people, or maybe there are people that you stay in touch with for a while, and then it kind of like neither of you did for the last 2, 3, 4 years. Reconnect with people, reach out to them again, jump on a Zoom with them, or meet them up for a drink or a coffee. If you're work in the same area, have a chat with people, find out what they're up to, find out about the companies they're at, particularly if it's a company that you may be interested in. So think about all of this. How can you expand your network? What is it that you can do to cultivate and to nurture your network? And again, it's not just for asking people for help. It's because when they know you and when they know about you, they are more likely to have you top of mind when they see and hear about opportunities that come out. So commit to yourself that you're going to reach out, for example, to one person a week. It could be people that you've not spoken to for a while, or it could be to completely new people, whether it's in your company or outside of your company. But commit to doing that, just one person a week. If you can do more, then even better. Start with that one person that you reconnect with, drop them a message, whether it's on LinkedIn, if you've got them on WhatsApp or something, maybe do that, or an email, and start having conversations again. Zishan, hello there. How are you doing? Rightly said, indeed, one conversation can change your life. Thank you for that. It absolutely can. And this is not just career. This is in all areas of our life. It is really, really important. So definitely something to take on board. So let me just recap for you. Why now is the time to step up. If you're looking to elevate your career, to move forward, whether it's to get a promotion, to change role, to move company, whatever it might be for you, these steps, these 3 things are what I invite you to start implementing from today, so that you are in a really strong position, that you're able to take back control of your career and to influence your career trajectory. And I'll just recap on what those are for you. Number 1 is clarity on what you want and why, number 1. And number 2 is clarity on what you want to be known for. So spend some time on that. Carve some quiet time on your own to look at that. Number 2 is communicate. Never assume that others know your value. So communicate, make sure people are aware of not only who you are, but also what value you bring to the table. And number 3 is connect. So start cultivating and nurturing your network. Be curious, find out about other people and what they're up to, what their career vision is for themselves. Just have conversations with people and see where it takes you. As Zishan said, you never know where that one conversation can take you. So let me know if you have any questions on this. Let me know what resonates. Do share in the comments. I will come back and respond to you. Other than that, remember, it is a competitive environment out there right now. And if you have plans this year that you want to create some sort of change, move up in your career, or even take a sidestep into something different to gain some more exposure in a different part of the business, for example, then now is the time to start working on that. By taking on board what I've shared today and implementing these 3 steps, it will position you in a much stronger place to be able to influence the opportunities that come your way. So until next time, remember to harness your potential to elevate your performance and to strive towards growth, to pursue that next role or promotion. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already done so. And if you enjoyed and gained value from today's episode, then do please leave a review telling us your key learnings and what you enjoyed the most. And do please share this podcast with your friends and colleagues so we can spread the word on life leadership, creating a life of choice, freedom, and new possibilities. Connect with me directly on LinkedIn, and if you would like to learn more about how we can work together, either DM me on LinkedIn or email me. All details and resources can be found in the show notes.